Hey everybody, it's Chris from Chris's Train Layout. It is January 2020, and we're going to do a little update on the layout and show you some new things that are on the layout. It's been quite a while since my last update. In the past couple weeks, I've been finally getting back down here and getting some work done on the layout. Also acquired some new things over the past couple months, so we'll show you those. Talk about some plans moving forward. Some of the things that we want to do to kind of just keep the progress moving, because it was a little bit of a dry spell there over the summer, but we're back at it now. So let's go ahead and get started. So in the past few weeks, there's been a couple different things I've been working on the layout. One of the big changes that we added was finally putting the MTH DCS system on the layout. I have always just run Lionel locomotives and motive power on this layout. Never had any MTH stuff. I had the DCS system. I bought it for a really good price a few years ago, but never had the means to put it on the layout or the need to, because I never bought any MTH stuff. I was really familiar. I'm really familiar with the legacy system and Lionel locomotives, so that's why I always just ran Lionel. So a couple weeks ago, I decided to make the jump and purchase an MTH engine. Figured this would be the best time to go ahead and add the DCS system to layout. And it was a little tricky at first because I just wasn't familiar with it, but we got that all set up. I'll show you what I did, how that's powered. I need to run an update on it still. Like I said, it sat in a box for years, so the software is really old. So we're going to run an update on that in the next few weeks here. And then I also bought the Wi-Fi module. So once I get it updated, we'll add the Wi-Fi module and then just be able to run the MTH locomotive that I bought from the DCS app on the iPhone, which would be nice. But so far it's been going really well with the DCS system. I'm glad that I did it, and now I can kind of look at purchasing some MTH locomotives that are a little bit cheaper. I'm really interested in their European line. I think the European steam engines are awesome and really unique. So maybe budgeting some money for one of those in a couple of years here. So that was a big change. And troubleshooting that whole thing was what I've been focusing on for the past few weeks. We also worked on the mountain part of the layout. So there was a big hole in that. We filled that in. Made a pop-up section so I can still access that underneath the mountain, as well as the upper level track that kind of comes around the mountain in the corner of the layout. So that's looking better. It still needs a lot of trees. Most of the trees on my mountain need work. I can't get them to stand perfectly straight up. They go into the ground and they end up falling over. I got to figure out a better way to go about cementing them in place. But that's for another day. So other things, we added a little bit of ground cover here and there. Added little bit of scenicking things. Not too much. The track plan is stage one of the track plan has been done for a long time, so we haven't added any track or anything like that. But let's go ahead and look at some of the new items on the layout, and then we'll kind of go over a tour of the layout again, and some things that we are going to be doing as we move forward in the next few weeks. So the first new item that we're going to show here is the MTH engine that I actually purchased, which is this Amtrak AEM7 electric locomotive. This is neat. I was really drawn to this engine over the holiday. I went down to Nicholas Smith Trains, which is down in Broomall, close to Philadelphia, not too far from where I'm at. They had this model in a display case with some MTH cars, Amtrak cars that looked awesome. And I decided to just make the jump and purchase the set. And this thing's awesome. It's really neat. You can run it from a catenary system, which is neat. Unlike the Lionel locomotives, like the GG1 has the pantographs go up and down, but they're not functional. These ones are actually functional. Not that I'm running it, because I don't have a catenary system on my layout. The nice thing about this is the pantograph is, even when it's raised, is still low enough to get through my tunnels on my layout, so I can keep it up, which just kind of adds a different effect, which is really kind of cool. So learning the DCS system with this locomotive, but so far I really like it. I'm not too far from the Railroad Museum in Strasburg, Pennsylvania, and they actually have an AEM7 in their yard that we pass all the time, so it's kind of neat to have one on the layout. Trailing behind this, these are not the MTH cars that I had purchased. I had purchased, I think it was the Cap Fleet cars. I can't really remember what they were called. They were awesome looking, much more prototypical of a current Amtrak train. But they derailed like crazy on my layout. I've never had derail issues like I had seen with them. Couldn't even just straight track they would derail from. I'm running Gargrave straight track Ross curves on my layout, minimum 072, and they just kept derailing. So I took them back. Nicholas Smith Trains, those guys are awesome. We kind of tried to troubleshoot it, no luck. So took it back and exchanged it for these Amtrak cars. These are the Lionel cars from a few years ago, the 21-inch passenger cars. So I got the 4-pack of Amtrak cars. It's what they had in stock. These are great. I knew these would run on my layout because I have the Pennsylvania 21-inch passenger cars for the GG1. So these are great. They work well. Maybe I'll add the 2-pack add on if I can find it in a couple months. But so far it's great to have a kind of an Amtrak train on the layout. Never had one before, so that's been a new addition, which has been a lot of fun. This Lionel SD70 barcode unit, as it's nicknamed because of the road number, is new as well. Purchased this, it's like a Black Friday-ish deal from Charles Rowe. So had a pretty good discount, so decided to pick it up. I don't have any Norfolk Southern SD70s, so grabbed this one. So currently it is running behind the Interstate, Norfolk Southern Heritage Interstate unit, the Creamsicle ES44, which has been in the engine house for a while. So it's great to have that back on the layout. Going through some new engines on the layout. This is new as well. Now I had an unboxing video of this. It's been on the layout for a few months now. This is the Lionel Pennsylvania J1 from the 2019 Volume 1 catalog. This is a really awesome engine. I love the huge tender on the back. It's huge. It's a 210-4 locomotive, which is great. One of the problems that I've had on my layout is that one of the switches on my outer loop, it actually shorts out because of the 10 drive wheels. It's the only switch that it does that on, which is odd. So I can run it through that switch quickly and it doesn't short out. But if I'm kind of going at a really slow pace, it shorts out. Then I have to go into my pop-up to get to the back of the layout to move it off of the switch, which is annoying, especially since everything on my layout is a minimum 072. That is an 072 Ross switch that's happening on. And I haven't had time to go back and inspect the switch so much. So for right now, this engine is kind of hanging out in the engine house, but it is awesome. It's got the cylinder steam effect, does not have whistle steam, which is a bummer because that seems to be becoming more standard on Lionel locomotives. But it is another great Pennsy locomotive to have on the layout. Another new rolling stock on the layout are these Atlas Gunderson well cars. These are for the 40 and 45-foot containers. So I have 5 of these. I actually had the 3-pack that is in the middle that are unweathered. I've had these for a couple years, but I didn't have the A and B set, so I couldn't actually run it because they're articulated. So I needed the A and B. So I ended up finding the A and Bs on an online auction site and was able to pick these up. These ones that I bought were weathered. As you can see, the ones that I had are not. So I'm going to have to do some weathering. That's on my list of things to do. But I love these cars. I was really hoping to find the bigger well cars for the 52 or 53-foot containers. I can't remember what they are. But those are impossible to find right now. So I'm glad to have these. They look great. I was able to go, like I said, I went down to Nicholas Smith Trains, picked up a bunch of the containers, which was really helpful. So these look great, getting pulled on the layout. Behind those, I've got some tank cars. These are not new to the layout, but I did do some weathering. Maybe a little over weathering on them. First time I've been weathering tank cars, but it adds definitely a different depth to the cars than just a shiny, perfectly brand new tank car. So some of them are weathered, some of them have not been. You know, I'm just kind of learning as I go about weathering the tank cars. I haven't done that before. So those are a new look to them on the layout, but not new rollings. Here's a little test weight car is new. I picked this up at a hobby shop in Lancaster called Cool Trains. They had it there for like $28. It's an MTH car. Just a neat little car to have here on one of the spur tracks or whisker tracks at the turntable. So that's a new addition as well. This Strasburg car is from MTH. It is also new to the layout. I picked this up at Nicholas Smith Trains as well. They have a bunch of Strasburg cars there. I have a 3-pack from MTH that I had gotten from them at York a few years ago. So grabbed this one to add on to the Strasburg cars that I have. And this thing's, the detail on this is awesome. This wood-sided passenger car, there's figures inside. You know, the detailing that MTH does on these is just amazing. So that's a great little addition to have. New to the layout itself, we added the Woodland Scenics American flag to the train station. I have not wired up the spotlight that comes with it yet, but added that to our train station scene. If we pan over here, working on cleaning up the kind of control area here. So I added a piece of oak here and then some ground cover. As we come around, we've finally closed in all the holes between the track, you know, the base, the plywood here, and then the fascia board. So I just did some cardboard weave and then plaster cloth and then a little sculpt mold and then added some ground cover. So just an initial layer of that has been done. Panning across this way, there's not too much that's new. Did the same thing, cleaning up, filling in these gaps that used to be here along this curve. With some ground cover. So that kind of finishes that up. There's still a lot that needs to be done here, but it at least ties it together. If we come up here to the mountain scene, as I said, this section here used to be a big hole. So I could stand back there, work on that, access that top level there. So we filled that in. Now that's actually a pop-up. The seam runs right up through here and then cuts over this way. So I can pop that entire piece out and then still access that back level. So it came together really well. It blends really nicely. Obviously I need a lot more trees or maybe a small shack or cabin or something up there. I'm not quite sure. But like I said in the intro video, you can see trees leaning left and right. I've got to figure out a way to better anchor them. For the most part, it's just plaster cloth. So I can poke the trees through, but there's nothing there to support them. So I've got to figure out a better way. If you know a great way to anchor trees down in plaster cloth or on your ground cover, please let me know in the comments so we can help clean this up a little bit. I've got the building flat Patterson Silk Mill from Todd Architectural Models. Those guys are great to work with. I ordered that. That's not new. That's been there for a while. I don't remember if I put it in an update video before. That's the first of hopefully many building flats that are going to go up on this back spine here. I've got about 6 inches or so of space. So hoping to put like a cityscape there. And then we'll have a mill hopefully in this area. So we'll see how that kind of comes along over the next few years. Hopefully in the next couple months, I'll be able to add a couple more buildings there. If we look here at the incline, this obviously needs a lot more scenicking, but you can see I did add a wooden guardrail. So I scratch built that myself out of some balsa wood and just added that in. We need a little bit more of that to come down the rest of that incline. And there needs to be a lot of work done to clean this whole area up, but was able to get that put in, which is really great. Not too much has gone on this end of the layout, a little bit of ground cover here and there. I did add a new signal and a concrete platform for our inner loop. That is not wired up yet. And the box is here. Again, that's not wired up. I just built a concrete pad for it out of some 1/4-inch plywood and some paint. It's not even actually attached down yet. But just add some more dimension to the layout there. If we come back across this way, the road bridge that comes across this creek, I added some abutments on the sides there. Those were scratch built out of balsa wood as well. So they came together really well. I just kind of spray painted them like camo brown. But they came together. That looks really nice. Now we can put some lines on that road, add some cars, and eventually if I can find some really good looking crossings, we'll add those as well. So those are some of the new things on the layout and some of the new areas that I've been working on to just kind of chip away at getting this thing looking a little bit more finished for those that are coming to visit. If you're working on a train layout, you know they're never really finished. So that's what I've done to this point. Where do we want to go? Different story. So obviously what you see is not going anywhere. So we need to finish some ground cover work. Some of the things that are on my list that I need to find are crossing gates. I know like NJ International makes some really great O-scale crossing gates, but they're impossible to find. They seem to be sold out of the ones that I've been looking for. You know, the Rail King ones they're not scale enough that I like them. Lionel ones are huge and bulky. So trying to find something that really looks prototypical. Again, if you know of any that are available or out there, throw me a comment on this video so I can hopefully track them down. What else are we going to be working on? Some minor electrical issues here and there. Some of the storage tracks in the diesel facility having some weird electrical. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. So I have to fix that. I need to update the DCS system, get the Wi-Fi module hooked up. Once we get that, we'll do a little, show you a little video on all that. I did say I'd show you how I wired the DCS system up with the Legacy. It is a rat's nest of wires under my layout. Part of my goal is to try to clean those up, so if something goes wrong, I can figure out where the fault is. But basically, I tried to set the TIU up and get it wired. It's just, I'm not running anything conventional. Through just the transformer power, it wasn't powering the TIU. So doing some research here and there, I went out and purchased a Z1000 power brick and plugged that into the TIU to power it, and voila, works like a dream. So I have a new Z1000 under the layout that powers the TIU, and then we run that through the Legacy system as well. So other than back to where we're going, I want to work on the water for the waterfall scene at the truss bridge. That needs to get put in. I have a couple friends that come over, and they come over every few months, and one keeps calling me a wimp for not having done the water. He says he thinks that I'm scared to do it. Well, I've done water before, but I want it to look right, and so I do keep putting it off. I need to just get it done. So hopefully we'll get that done here before summer. That's a goal of mine, have that done before May. Big picture, we have to finish. I want to get some more buildings up top on the spine of the layout, as I said. I'm ordering some new shelves from Glenn Snyder Display Systems. I have to get that ordered. Hoping to add about 5 more shelves so I can move some things easier off the layout and up on the shelves, and add some new things, get some new things out of boxes, and put them on the layout as well to run. One of my big thoughts is to extend the layout. There's not much room for me to expand this layout. It's quite large already. My thought is to send a track through one of the back walls to a helix to drop it back down. So my reversing loop, we could actually switch off the upper level reversing loop and then have the train come back down to the lower level without having to come all the way back down the slope that's behind me. That's just something that was always in the back of my mind, and thinking, as I'm scenicking the top level of the layout, I might as well add the switch in before everything gets scenic. So we'll see if that'll happen. I'm not sure if it will or not, but that's just a thought that I had. But we're going to continue to chip away, try to make this look as good as possible. So always work to be done. As far as trains that are coming here in 2020, I'm waiting for the new Lionel catalog to come out. I didn't order anything from the Volume 2 catalog that came out in the fall. The Pennsy steam locomotive was the big purchase of last year. So we'll just have to wait and see what comes out in that catalog. I might try to restrain myself from purchasing any motive power, focus more on scenic stuff, some buildings, things like that. There's a couple of the Menards buildings that I would like to add to the top level of the layout. They're like a strip mall building, looks great. I was thinking I could probably get that into a little town scene up there. We'll see. Lots of work to be done. Thanks for tuning in. We'll run some trains here and send you on your way. Hope everyone had a great holiday and has a great fruitful new year. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Hey everybody, one last thing. I created an Instagram account, so if you want to follow along on that for more pictures, short videos, things like that in between the long time that it takes for me to get one of these big long videos out, check that Instagram out. Chris Mon Trains is the account. I'll put a little image here so you can see it. So go ahead and follow that if you're interested. We'll be posting pictures on a regular basis and some short videos. Thanks.
Do you copy? Copy that. Read your fine. Over. Very good. Start up and hold. Roger that. Start up and hold. Out. Dispatcher,